In this time when we are physically distant, we believe it is an act of love to worship online and be together this way. Welcome to our worship and welcome home. For those of you joining us for the first time, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equity shape everything we do. If it is your first time, a great welcome to you, and know that there is a Get to Know UUCP meeting right after worship. We invite you to join us. With a special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all of every race, class, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability, and disability. We welcome your whole self, your family, however you define it, into our worship as we build a community of caring and courage and hope. Our opening words are from UU Minister Reverend Audette Fulbright Fulson. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken, hearts and the minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. I invite you to grab a chalice or a candle nearby from your home as we recite our covenant, and my wife Karen lights the chalice in our sanctuary. Love is the diamond of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to share our strength in fellowship. Thus do we covenant.
Hey, it's working. Hey, Bumpy, make that true.
We have some other audio behind us there. Gary, you there?
I'm here waiting to be spotlighted.
There we go.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce our worship team. I am your worship associate this morning, Gary Ezel. You have met Reverend Christine. Our director of children's ministry is Katie Resendez. Our Zoom operator today is Bonnie White, and our chat chaplain today is Brad Chapman. And because all of our music today is by strong women, our music director, Benji Messer, is taking this Sunday off. Our chat is open. You can chat with everyone or just to our panelists. Our service is automatically captioned. If you're joining us on a phone or a tablet, you should already be seeing the captions. If you're on a computer and want to see them, you'll need to click the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen, and then choose Show Subtitle. As always, we invite you to check into UUCP on social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere. I have a few announcements about the life of our community. And all of these announcements can be found on our weekly online newsletter, Compass. You can sign up for Compass on our website, phoenixu.org. And as Reverend Christine mentioned, if you would like to learn more about our congregation, our principles, what we do and how to get involved, please join us after service today for a Get to Know UUCP session. The link is posted in the chat and will also be on the final slide. Now, this is the final week of our stewardship month. We very much want you to turn in your financial pledge for this upcoming year. To give some fun, motivation, and maybe even some time for you to submit your pledge right now, Reverend Christine and I are going to give you our own UUCP version of David Letterman's top 10 reasons you should complete your financial pledge today.
Number 10, we need to know how much money we will have so we can plan next year's budget.
Number 9, are you there? Are you? Hello? How do we know?
Number 8, this congregation is not just another charity. You donate to a charity, you pledge your support to your faith community.
Number 7, we are in a pandemic, people. Don't make us chase you down. This is hard enough already. Just do it.
Number 6, it's not about how much you pledge, it's that you participate.
Number 5, Reverend Christine, Katie, Benji, Stephanie, Manuel, and so many others love you so much, but they're not doing this for free.
Number 4, unlike many congregations, we have been very fortunate in the generosity during this pandemic. We rock. Let's keep it up.
Number 3, we are not using the building right now, and yet the electric company, oddly, still wants their bills paid.
Number 2, you'll want to do this for Isabel, Francis, Mimi, and Erica. That's going to make sense in about 15 minutes.
And the number 1 reason you should complete your pledge for this next year right now is this: you believe in the mission and vision of this congregation and the value it brings to you and the community, and you want to support it. Thank you. Now, in addition to our stewardship, this week is our Share the Plate week. Our Share the Plate recipient now for today is Paradise Valley Emergency Food Bank. The PV Emergency Food Bank is an all-volunteer organization that offers food assistance to individuals and families within the geographic boundaries of the Paradise Valley Unified School District. In addition, the Weekend Food for Kids Backpack Program provides nutritious foods to Title I students who have little or no food support on the weekend. Your UUCP donation would be used to purchase food supplies for this vital program that ensures all students in our school district come to school on Mondays well-nourished and ready to learn. If you are interested in volunteering or in need of assistance, please contact the food bank at this phone number, 602-867-9228. 602-867-9228. Appointments are scheduled in advance to assure privacy for our recipients, and walk-ins are also welcome. Please bring proof of address and photo identification. The food bank is open weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. COVID protocols are in place for the safety of our clients and volunteers. We ask you to be generous in your giving to support the mission of this beloved community. You can text UUCP to 73256. That's 73256. You can donate through the website, or you can send an old-fashioned check. For all that you give to our congregation, we are so grateful.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Katie Resendez, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministry here at UUC Phoenix. I love reading history books. I really do. But there's something funny about them. You see, this book tells me all about how triangles have done all the best things. This triangle discovered the best way to go around the world. And this triangle here invented everything we've ever needed. And there's a triangle back here. Where is it? These triangles made the best government system. And this triangle here, these triangles, they figured out how to solve a conflict. It involves gunpowder and muskets and really old dry bread or something. I can't understand it. But as I've read through this and I get to the back, it's just triangles, triangles. Oh, here's a circle. What is her name? Mrs. John D. Rockefeller. That seems weird. Wait. Oh, here, towards the back of the book, there's some more things about circles. Huh. Circles worked to get the vote. Circles started taking jobs and worked in a war. Interesting. There's a lot of things about triangles and circles, but there's nothing about squares or star shapes or circles who became triangles or star shapes who morphed slowly into amoebas. That seems strange. Because I know for a fact there were circles back here at the beginning, and I know that there were circles who became squares right about here. It's very strange. Maybe this isn't my favorite history book. I wonder who wrote it. Oh, it was written by triangles. No wonder there's so much triangles in there. And they gave some voice to circles. Okay, you all know what I'm actually talking about. And I do have to say that The Rise of the American Nation, is actually one of my favorite old history books and old textbooks, because it isn't that story that we're so used to where we just talk about men and all of the things men have done, and we never talk about women until we get to the 20s when they get some political power. And we certainly never ever mention our trans siblings in our histories. But this book is pretty phenomenal because it was published at the end of the 70s when women, especially white women in the US, were beginning to get more and more power. And yes, power means political power and economic power. More women were working outside of the home. But that's when this book was published. And all the way back at this first chapter where I jokingly said, the triangles made the best government, it talks about the role of women. And it talks about where Native Americans were. It's actually a really, really good history book for the 70s. So what's a really good history book for 2021? We need to go back and make sure that all those voices are there. Circles, squares, triangles, stars, amoebas, shifting shapes into one another, whatever they are, that those histories and stories are told, because we can't keep patting ourselves on the back for our history books, including Black people. That was the 60s. Our history books, including women, that was the late 70s and early 80s. We need to take our responsibility for writing history and for remembering history and for reaching back and telling true stories about the people who were there and not acting like just because we just figured out that those people existed means they weren't there before. See, this week will be Transgender Day of Visibility. Transgender Day of Visibility. Can you imagine what it is like to have a holiday celebrating that you are visible? Lots of people in our community can imagine that because it's the experience of lots of people. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean they aren't there. And I'm going to talk to cisgendered people right now. It is our responsibility and our power, be it as men or as women, to say that we know what it's like to be fully recognized in society. We know how amazing it is, and we are making space for those who haven't been recognized and haven't been seen. And we celebrate everything they've done. And we celebrate all the pages on this history book that they should be on, because we're going to pick up the paper and pen and we're going to write that history and we're going to do the research. We're not going to leave all of that work to our trans siblings. We're going to let them step into the light that we are shining on them and that they want shown on them. And we're going to do that research and do that work, because we need to write this history, and we need to write this history. And we need to make sure that we stay strong and we keep staying strong together by lifting one another up. Please take some time this week to let our trans siblings know that they are not just visible, but they are loved and adored and an important part of our community's history. And for those of you who are trans, your life experience, your life and your existence is so important to our community. We love you and we celebrate you. And we can't wait to write the next version of this book. We're going back to textbooks, right? I hope so. I'm really bad at reading on a computer. Anyway, you are so, so powerful and so, so loved. Have a wonderful week.
I have dreamed on this mountain since first I was my mother's daughter, and you can't just take my dreams away. You may drive a big machine, but I was born a great big woman, and you can't just take my dreams away. This our mountain raised my many daughters. Some died young, some are still living. If you're coming here for to take my mountain, I ain't coming here to give it. I have dreamed on this mountain since first I was my mother's daughter, and you can't just take my dreams away. Not with me watching. You can't just take my dreams away. Not with me fighting. No, you can't just take my dreams away. I have dreamed on this mountain since first I was my mother's daughter, and you can't just take my dreams away. Not with me fighting. You may drive a big machine, but I was born a great big woman, and you can't just take my dreams away. you watching. No, you can't just take my dreams away. Not with me fighting. No, you can't just take my dreams away.
So powerful. Thank you. It is the time in our service where we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share, to support each other, and to connect. Please write any joys or sorrows or what you want our community to know about. Please put your name at the beginning, and if you want it to go just to me, put the word private at the beginning. Just the panelists will see it, but I will hold it in my heart. While you're entering your joys and sorrows, let me mention a few in our world. First of all, of course, we are thinking about the tragic shootings in Boulder, Colorado, and in Atlanta before that. To speak on that more, we have our own Dylan Lifshitz.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dylan, and I'm a young adult member of this congregation. I'm also the state director for the Arizona chapter of March for Our Lives, an organization founded 3 years ago to address and prevent gun violence. I'm in front of you today as an individual to reflect on the devastating shootings in Boulder, Colorado, and Virginia Beach last week that left 12 dead. This kind of horror has become so normalized in our country that we often forget that it is not normal. Other countries no longer have this problem. We should no longer have this problem. On behalf of victims of gun violence, we advocate for gun reform and address the causes that have brought us to this grim status quo. We honor them with action. But sometimes I think we forget to simply honor them. In Boulder and Virginia Beach, the world lost 12 souls to a force this nation knows too well. I would like to share with you the names of those lives that were lost and hold them for a moment in silence. I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Eric Talley, Denny Stong, Nevin Stanisik, Ricky Olds, Trelona Bartkowiak, Suzanne Fountain, Terry Laker, Kevin Mahoney, Lynn Murray, and Jody Waters, and 2 more lives in Virginia Beach who have yet to be identified. Let's continue to fight in their honor. Organizations like March for Our Lives are doing important work to address and combat the systemic societal inequities that compose the root causes of gun violence. But as we do this work, we must remember and honor those whose lives have already been taken. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dylan. Thank you. I do want to share the excitement that I know that so many of you are getting your vaccine. And I want to caution you when you say that people 16 and over will be eligible now. Please don't say everyone is eligible. Our children are not. Even though we know their infection rates are lower, they are not immune. We are seeing concerning long haul effects in children. And as we look at who is getting vaccinated, may we please center those who are not rather than those who are. So remember, everyone is eligible. It's just not true. Thank you. Got several different holidays and remembrances going on. Last night, individuals who follow the Jewish tradition celebrated the first night of Passover. It is a time of spring rebirth and a time of deeper connection to one's traditions. May Passover week continue to build communities everywhere. Holi, the often referred to as the Festival of Colors, begins today. This beautiful festival is celebrated by individuals who follow Hindu tradition and signifies the triumph of good over evil, as well as the arrival of spring and the blossoming of love. May that celebration bring joy and happiness to all. And as Katie said, Tuesday is Transgender Day of Visibility. It is all of our obligations to make sure that our trans siblings are seen, known, and recognized as fully divine. Now, let us read the joys and sorrows from our community. We have from Pat Reed, a member of my knitting group, died suddenly of a stroke this week. Deep condolences. Eric Ariano says, a joy. My best friend from middle school and high school visited this week. It was a blast to show off our beautiful state and also cool to see how much we've both grown. Sam and Michelle want to wish our youngest grandbaby baby a happy first birthday. Happy birthday to Devin. Barbara and Dave Cawthorn say our joy is that my sister is visiting from Bend, Oregon this week. John Williamson says a joy that cardiac tests showed daughter Marianne had no ill cardiac effects from COVID. Bill Snowden says I got my second vaccine on Saturday and Joan and I are now fully vaccinated. And we hope you are continuing to heal well, Bill. Bunny says, my daughter and I got our second COVID shots. Woo-hoo. Hope you all are feeling well. Lalana says that Lalana is going to a weekly group for the first time with a few friends whose parents are all vaccinated. She is so excited about playing with her peers. How wonderful, Lalana. From Don and Sandy Weir, please hold Pam Weir Davis in your hearts, their daughter. As the Boulder Assistant City Manager, she has been absorbing the community's grief, even as city government looks ahead to a time of healing. Please tell her that we are thinking of her and holding her in our thoughts. Sam and Michelle also celebrate that Shannon got her first COVID vaccine on Friday. And Annalise and Lalana say they started school 2 days a week and met their teachers for the first time and saw friends they had not seen in over a year. Yes, for all of our kids who have started school, our blessings. For all of the kids who decided not to go back to school, also many, many blessings. From Amy Miskell, a concern about our governor and ignoring recommendations from the CDC. A reminder that masks are still important. And Sarah and London Montgomery, I love this. Planning is uncanceled. We're looking forward to visits from Sarah's parents in April and sister in June. I know a number of people who are planning again carefully and just acknowledging that we remember what the priorities are as we're seeing our first people in a year. Who are those who we're so anxious to see? I invite you now to a time of prayer and meditation. Center yourselves, put your feet on the floor if you wish, settle in place, settle in your loungers, at your table, wherever you are. Take a few deep breaths. I'd like to do an ancestor meditation to help you connect with the strong people from your history. Now, these can be family members, or they can be people from your community, or just people from the era, that era, who helped shape the world that you live in today. I want you to start with yourself and come into your breath that go through your body. Your nose, your mouth, through your lungs, down to your diaphragm. Feel the energy in your whole body. With your next breath, I want you to think of your parents and those of their generation. Think about what like they wore, what the technologies were of their generation, what their jobs were. Breathe into their being. Now think about your grandparents and that generation. Name them if you know them. Name them in your mind. Speak their names out loud if you wish. Visualize them if you can. Try to picture them as children or young adults. Imagine their world. And breathe in love and gratitude. Think of your great-grandparents and that generation. How many of their names can you name? Where did they live? What were their lives like? What might they have dreamed for you? Take a breath of gratitude and remembrance of that generation. And then just keep breathing and keeping of the generations before them. Does this put you into the early 1900s, 1800s, before? Think about what their lives looked like then. What were their struggles? What were their dreams for you? Now I invite you to think of that as a thread from you connecting them all the way back to your great-great-great-grandparents and beyond, and to your great-grandparents and to your grandparents and your parents and you. Imagine them all attached to that thread, connected to who you are and the world you live in today. Now breathe into that thread and send it into the future for the next generation that comes after you, and the next, in your family, in your chosen family, and in your congregational community. May we feel the threads of connection that connect our history to our present, to our future. And may we know that our efforts now may feel like a small ripple, but that ripple from the past created the wave that we now ride, and that will propel our love and abundance far into the future. Amen. Blessed be. and Ashe. For our centering music, we turn to a local musician who just recently died, Jane Murdoch. Jane was well known in Phoenix music circles, particularly in the lesbian community, the folk music community, and the women's chorus. She was a beloved and strong woman with a great sense of humor. Here's a video of her from just a year ago at an open mic. Actually, I think it was 2 years ago. It's hard to tell time in these times, right? At an open mic event where she was a regular.
Anyway, so Terry Sue was talking about stories, and Walt's talking about stories, and this place has become my family of friends. And I know a lot of stories, and you all know a lot about mine, right? So anyway, and I'm on April 7th, 2 o'clock, I'll be singing at the Bistro stage at Phoenix Pride Festival. And being a lesbian, it was always fun to figure out who are my role models. And thanks to Meg Christian, one of my favorite women writers, WOMYN, one of my role models was, of course, my gym teacher. This is Meg Christian's classic, Ode to a Gym Teacher. She was a big, tough woman, the first to come along, that showed me being female meant you still could be strong. And though graduation meant that we had to part, she'll always be a player on the ball field of my heart. I won't sing real high, okay? Okay, good. I wrote her name on my notebook, inked it on my dress, carved it in my locker, I etched it in my desk, and I painted big red hearts with her initials on my books. And I never knew till later why I got those funny looks. She was a big, tough woman, the first to come along, that showed me being female meant you still could be strong. And though graduation meant that we had to part, she'll always be a player on the ball field of my heart. Well, in gym class, while the others talked of boys that they loved, I'd be thinking up new aches and pains the teacher had to rub. While other girls went to the prom, I languished by the phone, calling up and hanging up if I found out she was home. She was a big, tough woman, the first to come along, that showed me being female meant you still could be strong. And though graduation meant that we had to part, she'll always be a player on the ball field of my heart. I sang her songs, but Johnny Mathis gave her everything. A new chain for her whistle, some daisies in the spring, some suggestive poems for Christmas by Miss Edna Millay, and a lacy, lacy, lacy card on Valentine's Day. Unsigned, of course. She was a big, tough woman, the first to come along, that showed me being female meant you still could be strong. And though graduation meant that we had to part, she'll always be a player on the ball field of my heart. Here comes the moral of the story. So you just go to any gym class, you'll be sure to see one girl who sticks to teacher like a leaf sticks to a tree. One girl who runs the errands and who chases all the balls. One girl who may grow up to be the gayest of all. She was a big, tough woman, the first to come along, that showed me being female meant you still could be strong. And though graduation meant that we had to part, she'll always be a player on the ball field of my heart. Oh, there's a high school lament, yes.
Today, it's my turn to be worship associate as we talk about bold women. And that's okay, because I have this daughter, you see.
I was a high woman and a mother from my youth. For my children, I did what I had to do. My family left Honduras when they killed the Sandinistas. We followed a coyote through the dust of Mexico. Every one of them except for me survived, and I am still alive. I was a healer. I laid hands upon the world. I laid hands upon the world. Someone saw me sleeping, naked in the noon sun. Heard witchcraft in their whispers, and I knew my time was done. The bastards hung me from the Salem gallows hills, but I am living still. I was a freedom rider when we thought the South had won. Virginia in the spring of '61. I sat down on a Greyhound that was bound for Mississippi. My mother asked me if that ride was worth my life. And when the shots rang out, I never heard the sound, but I am still around. And I'll take that ride again and again and again and again and again. I'll take that ride again and again and again and again and again. I was a preacher. My heart broke for all the world. The teaching was unrighteous for a girl. In the summer I was baptized in the mighty Colorado. In the winter I heard the hounds, and I knew I had been found. And in my Savior's name I laid my weapons down, but I am still around. We are the resistors, and sing love stories still untold. We carry the sons you can only hold. We are the daughters of the silent generations. You send our hearts to die alone in foreign nations. And we return to us as tiny drops of rain, but we will still remain. And we'll come back again.
Resistors, we love you. We miss you. We all hail from some strong women. Women who ran the farm, creatively fed the children, although the money was short. Women who picked cotton for the master, or women who braved a long migration with the hope of a better life for their family. I have some incredibly strong women in my lineage. My mother, of course, but also my grandma Winnie, one of 2 girls of 7 kids, all growing up on a farm in Alpena, Michigan. My Aunt Naftel, who endured an abusive father and fought breast cancer while teaching students proper grammar and how to enunciate their words. Naftel's Aunt Johnny Dance, who I took as my namesake, who was named Johnny because her father wanted a son, and who became a missionary in the bayou of Mississippi when women were expected to get married, have children, and tend the home. It turns out that UUCP has a long legion of strong women in our history as well. And I think it's fitting that we tell their story and tell the legacy that they left us on our last Sunday of our Stewardship Month and the last week of Women's History Month. I hope to do a service on our own UUCP history at least once a year. Last year, you might remember I told of how resilience is baked into our DNA from our congregation's beginnings and multiple shunnings due to our radical beliefs during the McCarthy era. This year, we're talking about women because I was struck by how much of our early history was created by women. Now, I could not do any of this without the help and deep knowledge of our history by Charlotte Carl Mitchell. Her history is so well documented and so eloquently stated that these stories jump from our pages. You can find all of this history on our website. Thank you, Charlotte. And please know that today we have a much broader understanding of gender and what it means to identify as a woman. I do wish that our forebears had the same opportunity that we have today to talk about our children, about sexual orientation, gender identity, and how the gender binary is a societal construct that does not serve many members of our society. UUCP was founded by a woman. Isabel Johnson, who started this church, and it was a church at the time, the first Unitarian Church of Phoenix, the first Unitarian church in the entire state of Arizona. The legend that we like to tell is that our congregation was born when Isabel Johnson put an ad in the local newspaper inviting any religious liberals who happened to live in the area to meet up in her living room the following Sunday, and 7 people showed up. The truth is that in 1946, Isabel had written the Unitarian Association about starting a church here in Phoenix after she had moved from the Midwest, and she didn't find one here. She put that ad in the paper, and the Reverend Lon Ray Call, minister at large for the Unitarian Association, came to Phoenix for 3 months to be the minister. Reverend Call asked if Isabel would act as the congregation's secretary. She had a strong feeling that the success of this fledgling church depended very largely on these organizational skills. She was very familiar with building grassroots movements already because she had been involved in the early days of the women's suffrage movement. So she knew the power of organizing women and the impact that they could have. Isabel Johnson is credited as our founder, and she was also the president of the board in 1950. And in order to find a church, like to get it started, especially a liberal church in a developing city, she must have had determination, organization, a lot of diplomacy, and quite a bit of spunk. Anyone figure it out yet? Yes, our beloved Johnson Room is named after Isabel Johnson. It was dedicated on her 90th birthday in 1970, with Isabel there, surrounded by her large family and a very grateful congregation. She died 6 years later. In the words of our historian, Charlotte Carl Mitchell, if Isabel could have said to have birthed the church, her daughter, Frances Bishop, could have said to have mothered the church during its toddler years. 3 generations of these women lived together without any men in Phoenix. So Isabel and Francis's daughter. When the church was founded in 1946, Isabel was a widow, Frances was divorced, and Francis's daughter, Joanne Locke, all lived together. Frances was a teacher doing graduate work in education, psychology, and sociology. She was a counselor in the Phoenix school system. On the side, she did woodworking. She loved building furniture. She did remarry a gentleman that she met during the formation of this congregation, one of the many relationships started at UUCP. She also was board president for 2 years that the congregation didn't have a minister and made its first move to another building. It could have fallen apart if she hadn't been so competent. In these early days, another very important group of strong women was organized, the Women's Alliance. I've heard about the Alliance so many times. They had a bazaar that they planned all year, and their fundraisers kept the congregation afloat for many years. Okay, cool, Reverend Christine, got it. Our founding was basically by an amazing woman, Isabel Johnson, and her amazing daughter, Frances Bishop. How cool. Strong women, mother and daughter. Awesome. But that's not it. Our congregation wouldn't be where it is now without another amazing, strong mother-daughter pair. You see, in our first location in 1947 was at the Kenilworth School on 5th Avenue. But if you remember from that service last year, the McCarthyites thought we were too radical for them and asked us to leave. So we went to the Valley Garden Center in Encanto Park, and the McCarthy folks chased us down there. We got kicked out of there too. Then to the YWCA, and yeah, that only lasted 3 months, and we got kicked out of there too. 3 locations in 5 years. So imagine you're trying to start a church. You keep having to change locations. The community is against you. These folks were tired and worn down, and the church nearly disbanded over this issue, but also over arguments of God, of course. Until here come another mother-daughter pair, Mimi Muth and her daughter, Erica Michaud. They owned property at Camelback and 6th Street. And they loaned it to the church so they couldn't be kicked out again. In 45 days, they built a 1,300-foot building that could seat 125 people for, guess how much? $1,500. And it was because the 87 men, women, and children all worked to build the building. The congregation built the building. Now, here's what I find fascinating about our history. Erica's husband is mentioned in this story because he designed the plans for the building. But it was very clear in our history that the land was owned by Mimi and Erica. Without these 2 women, we wouldn't have had a home, and our history most likely would have stopped there. This is our legacy. These women worked so we could be here right now. They had a vision of what we could be and what we could do, and we would not exist if they were not here. And not just these women. We have the great privilege to hear from some of the women who have been at UUCP since the 1960s. Combined, 3 of them have more than 150 years of UUCP experience between them. And here's what they remember of the legacy that women left us here at UUCP.
My first thought in coming to the church was, I don't have to lie anymore.
Lie about what? Tell me about that.
Lie about my beliefs.
Mm,
Lie about the fact that I did not believe in God.
mm,
And that was such a relief to me. It's always hard to get, difficult, I should say, to get the Unitarians to pledge what they should.
Oh. And tell me about that, because this is the last week of our pledge drive. Like, tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, I think now that we're in a pandemic, people are not spending money on everything. So, and I think they're beginning to realize the pandemic has changed the thoughts. I've been surprised that the pledges are coming in so well, because we are really needed. It seems like every time there's a crisis in justice, you know, like when that law 1070 came out of our legislature, people responded to that. So I think Unitarians have a reason, or they feel necessary to have a crisis to actually get in and do something. You know, things have changed, but still, I think in the outside world, it's women are finally being recognized as having a brain.
Well, I can tell you that when I first moved here with my family in 1960, just to be a member or have any association with UUCP, which of course it wasn't called then, but anyhow, was amazing and brave. And coming from the East, I'd always been never thought of Unitarianism, which it was then, as being anything other than strong people who thought for themselves. When I got here, I discovered that Unitarians were not necessarily well accepted in the community. They were suspect of a lot of things, including communism, and as you know, had been driven out of other locations. Never crossed my mind, but along with many people who are also associated with ACLU and Planned Parenthood, and I'm trying to think of other organizations in the community that were suspect. I found that when I identified myself as a Unitarian, either I would get acceptance by a few people, or many people would really look askance at, you know, what, you're a member of that group. I don't know that I want to be close to you or even get to know you very well. So we were a rarefied group right from the start. And yeah, I was pretty subversive myself when I looked at the Christmas box recipients that went through our elementary school. I discovered not everybody, majority had at least 6 children. And I thought, what these people need for Christmas is some information on birth control, which now I'm not a eugenics person, but I definitely felt that. So I got Planned Parenthood literature and stuffed it into the boxes, and the principal found me out. He agreed, but he had to chastise me for doing that because that was political, and it was. I know it was, but that's how I felt.
I love it. But it's directed, slightly subversive, and understanding what your values were. I love that story, Sally.
Well, it was touch and go for a while, but they didn't kick me out of the PTA.
Do you know the name Agnes Erickson?
Do not know that. Tell me about her.
She was the first woman who was president of our congregation.
And what was she like?
Well, that's a hard thing for me too. I was new to the congregation at that time. And so she was She was a very purposeful woman. And you could say that about all of those women.
Now, another thing that I know about you, Elaine, is that you and your husband helped found the foundation, the endowment.
That is correct. I was very, very tired of this poor. Everything, we never had enough money to meet the budget to pay the minister. And so
what did you want to do?
So we started the foundation.
Because you didn't want to hear the story that we couldn't afford it anymore?
Well, I'm just not sure. You know, I'm 97.
I know, it's amazing, Elaine. You're doing great.
Well, that's a big number. That's a big number.
Yes.
I don't know how old you are. Now that's nervy of me.
Oh, no, totally fine. I'm 54.
With your perfect age.
I am more than half, but I am not anywhere close to 97. I'm feeling old. I can't even imagine what 97 feels like.
It was pretty good.
Good.
It does feel good. I'm having some more fun because I was more of a worrier than I am now.
It is. And I think in actually a number of ways it will make us stronger. I think at the very least, everyone has certainly understood how important community is during this time and being together.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there have been many strong women, and they have not the only ones that pulled this church together, but and doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Susan Morris and Susan Goldsmith and all wonderful people.
Yeah. Okay, tell me you're not a little teary after seeing all of that. Thank you, Joan and Sally, Elaine. Thank you so much for everything. I want to give a special shout out to what Elaine Warner talked about, the endowment named the UU Foundation of Phoenix. Our foundation now has over $1 million, makes a healthy pledge to the congregation each year, and has loaned the congregation money for our recent construction project, and is still dreaming about how we can boldly support a radical future for Unitarian Universalism here in Phoenix. These stories matter because all of these people dreamed of a future for Unitarian Universalism in Phoenix. They couldn't even dream in 1946 or 1957 that we'd be here 70 years later having an entire campus and that we'd be having worship on computers. Can you even imagine what they'd think of that? So at the end of our stewardship month, the question is to you is what legacy are we leaving? What will the folks who come 70 years from now think about what we did in this time? Who will they be talking about and why? We are the ones they were creating this for. And we are building it for our children's children. And this is how it works. We come from these amazing women. Knowing our history, we can be dedicated to building a better future. Knowing who we come from, we have intentions of honoring their legacy and building our own. May it be so. May it be so through our pledges, through our actions, through our love, through our intentions. May it be so. In our closing music, Many musicians recently celebrated the legacy of Issei Maria Barnwell on the occasion of her 75th birthday. We yearn for their memories. This was written about her grandmother, but we can say it about memories of our congregation, of our beloveds. We need their memories to sustain us, to inspire us. We are wanting memories to inspire us. Our memories teach us to see the beauty in our own world.
I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. You used to rock me in the cradle of your arms. You said you'd hold me till the pains of life were gone. You said you'd comfort me in times like these, and now I need you. Now I need you. And you are gone. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Now that you've gone and left me, there's been so little beauty, but I know I saw it clearly through your eyes. Now the world outside is such a cold and bitter place. Here inside I have few things that will console. And when I try to hear your voice above the storms of life, then I remember all that I was told. I am
Bring me all your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all your heart melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud cloth.
Yes, I am sitting here
Far from the too rough fingers of the world.
to see the beauty.
Bring me all your dreams, you dreamers.
Think on the things that made me feel so wonderful when I was young. I think on the things that made me laugh, made me dance, made me sing. I think on the things that made me grow into a being full of pride. I think on these things, for they are true. I am
Wanting Memories, one of the most beautiful songs ever written.
That song now always reminds me of my grandpa.
Eastside Boswell was one of the great human beings of my life and my lifetime.
Thank you for the music you have composed for people all around the world. You have been a blessing to all of us. Happy, happy birthday.
We love you, Eastside.
Does it change?
Nope.
For our closing words, we'd like to invite you for coffee hour, where we'll meet in a large group and then we will go into, you can choose coffee hour, children's coffee hour, or a board chat that we're continuing for 6 weeks. We're going to talk about what it's going to look like when we come back together. The conversation is going to be about what has disappeared that you haven't really missed, and or what has disappeared that you really do miss. So order of service, for example, like what are the things there? The rooms will be in the chat and on the final slide. Visitors, you're welcome to join us there, but we also have the Get to Know UUCP right after this. Anyone can come and join us for that. It's always a fun conversation. And a reminder to keep up checking on each other. You all have done such a good job. Now, may our memories of those who have gone before us inspire us. May we know that we are the ones who are creating the legacy for those who come after us. May we do all that we can in our giving, in our talents, and our energy to carry forward the beacon of light, of liberal religion in Phoenix and beyond. And may we never forget our own power and that we can make a difference today and every day. Thank you again so much to our sages, Joan Roberts, Elaine Warner, and Sally Boyd, and to Gary Ezell for editing the videos of them. Thank you to our historian, Charlotte Carl Mitchell, for her generous contributions to this service and her work to keep our history alive. Know that you are loved beyond measure. Go in peace. Go in love. Carry forward our legacy. So might it be.